The Residential Tenancies Act defines rent as an amount of money given by a tenant to a landlord or landlord's agent in exchange for the right to occupy a rental unit. When entering into a tenancy, it is very important for landlords to clearly define the rent amount, payment due dates, and any amenities and services which are included in the rent.
In Ontario, landlords have market decontrol, which means each time the rental unit becomes vacant, the landlord can set a new rent. This allows the landlord to adjust the rent to market levels. It also allows the landlord to change the composition of the rent by adding or removing services or amenities. For example, a landlord may wish to include a service such as cable or charge a fee for a parking space. Landlords will want to conduct some research to assess the amount of rent charged for units that are comparable in size, features, and amenities. Once a tenancy has been created, the new rent becomes the lawful rent. If a landlord requires a tenant to pay for their own electricity costs, the landlord must provide the tenant with the most recent information available about the electricity usage in the rental unit over the last 12 months. This includes kilowatt hours of electricity use, whether or not the rental unit was vacant, and information about the energy efficiency of the refrigerator if the landlord provides one. This information must be provided to the prospective tenant before the tenancy agreement is entered into. Landlords can increase the rent once every 12 months by the annual guideline amount established by the Ministry of Housing. The guideline increase is based on the Ontario Consumer Price Index and is capped at 2.5%. Tenants must be provided with a written 90-day notice of rent increase on Form N1. If rents are not increased annually with proper written notice, they are forfeited. Landlords cannot backtrack to collect missed rent increases. If the tenant believes they have been charged an unlawful rent, they can apply to the Landlord and Tenant Board for a rebate. The tenant has 1 year to file this application with the LTB. If the LTB finds that the rent has been increased unlawfully, either without proper written notice, before the 12 months have passed since the last rent increase, or above the amount they are entitled to increase the rent, the landlord may be ordered to pay back the illegal rent collected and may be fined by the LTB. The jurisdiction of the Landlord and Tenant Board is $25,000. If the landlord wishes to increase the rent above the guideline amount, they must request permission by filing an application to the Landlord and Tenant Board when expenses have been incurred to justify such an increase. However, there are strict requirements for making such an application, and landlords are encouraged to seek the services of a rent expert or legal representative. The Residential Tenancies Act also provides for situations where a landlord and tenant can mutually agree to rent increases or decreases. If the landlord has carried out or promises to carry out a specific capital expenditure, or has provided or promises to provide a new or additional service, the landlord and tenant may agree to an increase of the rent. Or, if the landlord will no longer provide a service that was previously included in the rent, the landlord and tenant may agree to a rent reduction. These changes should be recorded and acknowledged on LTB forms or documented in writing where forms are not available.
For more information about the rent, please visit www.landlordselfhelp.com.